Welcome again to the Motley Croc Show. It is March 14th, 2024. We're going to talk a little bit about the May Stringer house tonight. I've got Jeff and Ant behind stage, and Brittany is actually at the May Stringer house itself. So we're looking forward to seeing her come on and pop in. She said there's a lot of activity, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in our guys. What's going on, Jeff?
What up, man?
Ant, how you living, bud?
Great.
Long week for you. I've been following some of your stuff, man. Looks like you've been having a really good time out there.
Been a long week. We're grinding, man.
I know you're grinding, but I want to tell you something. You look pretty damn good on your pictures.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, I've got shiny jacket and all that, man, with all that awesome stuff behind you. That was quite a setting. What's up, Judy? I guess that was probably pretty good. So, yeah, we want to talk a little bit about May Stringer. So, as everybody knows who's coming in, and I know as people kind of trickle in here, the show's always going to go back, and we do put it back up on the YouTube channel. Bat Paranormal is our going to be our headquarter page now for what we're going to do as far as paranormal goes, and Ant's going to kind of cross over into it. So it's going to be kind of fun to see how things work out for you and what starts you with it. And Brittany is actually setting up as we speak to come on live in the house. So she's in the house, probably setting up the rest of her equipment now and getting her lights behind herself, which ought to be pretty good because we'll probably see some stuff tonight on the show that we probably don't normally see, I think.
The calls coming from inside.
Yeah, right? From inside. So, anyways, a lot of stuff coming up. Obviously, we'll be doing some more. We're going to get Ant back to that house again. We're definitely going to hit it up again and go through it. And then we've got some other things lined up as far as houses and so on and so forth go. So, and I when did you, for this, when did you start really realizing stuff when you thought you weren't a little out there? Because you're a pretty level-headed dude, in my opinion. So, what does that? What made you want to do it? Yeah, like when was it that really started that?
I've said before that like when I was younger, I would always be visited by spirit, and I was always able to walk into a place and kind of know. But I think I've always been interested in it.
Okay, that's good, Bill.
Yeah, and I now that I kind of have that opportunity with people that know what they're doing, I think that it's just an awesome thing to discover and investigate.
Sorry if we're having an echo, guys. If Ant is echoing, it's all right. That's just because of. It's all right though. If it might iron itself out. Sometimes it's connection, or it might be the fact that the mic is different connection than with the camera. We have sometimes technical issues when we're starting to do paranormal shows. I've always thought that was weird. If we ever get onto a weird subject, maybe just coincidence, but we always have some issues with it. It's kind of strange.
That's spooky feel.
Yeah, you start to come back. Go ahead, Ant.
You're even worse.
I am now?
No.
Me.
Well, that's just crazy. When you guys set in, can you adjust your sounds in your settings in through the stream? Sometimes if you click settings, you may be able to just change up a microphone or whatever you may be able to. That's nice.
Default. I have echo cancellation on. Turn it off. Is that better? Nope.
Yeah, you sound to me you're not echoing. I don't hear anybody echoing. So maybe it just must be to the people.
Yeah, I can hear me and Ant echoing.
Okay, what about now?
Ant, are you still is Ant still echoing?
Yeah, a little bit.
Can you hear me?
I hear you really good, Ant. How about everybody else? Does anybody else hear Ant out there? We want to make sure it's tuned up before we run the stream.
Yeah, he's definitely echoing some, but not as much as he was.
Well, I guess sometimes we got to do with what we got to do. Am I coming through? Is anybody else in the comments? Am I echoing to anyone outside amongst each other? And I really maybe once we get Brittany to pop in, we'll figure out what's going on with it. That's strange. Sorry, guys.
Maybe it's
always had that technical difficulty. What's that?
I said maybe everything you say is so good you got to hear it twice.
And you guys do have the echo cancellation on, correct? Yep. On the settings for yourself? Yeah.
It's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better.
Is it?
You're not echoing it anymore.
You're not either.
Okay, then we're going to leave it
Troy
at that.
just did,
Whatever I did,
did you do something different just then?
I just changed the sound of changed the sound audio in here.
That's
I'll
why
leave it
we're
at
not
that.
echoing.
And it's not echoing at all. We're
Okay,
good.
good. Then we're going to leave it all at that then. All right,
Okay.
good. I couldn't tell. If you guys can hear each other echoing, that's how it knows. So, echoes of the night. Anyways, now we got sidetracked on some echoing. But that's okay, though. We got to loosen it up. Anytime we do a paranormal thing or we get into something really cool like that, I always have some sort of like, thank you, Judy. The shower will pump water out real quick, or something will fall, or you'll hear something tapping. It always happens. It's like the weirdest thing.
It is.
Yeah, we're just waiting on Brittany to come in and stuff. So I'm sorry, now that you're not echoing anymore. So that's when you kind of realized that when you were young. And did you like stay away from it for a little while, or did you kind of like always kind of go with it or get into it or do it?
Yeah, no, I was, so as a kid, I was always like kind of into, aside from the paranormal stuff, I was always into aliens, and I was always into horror movies, like your classics,
Yeah.
Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the
Yes.
13th.
Gotta love the classics.
Huge classic horror movie buff. Grew up in that generation. Blockbuster on Fridays. Going to grab your favorite scary movie flick with your parents. Halloween has always been one of my favorite holidays. I love the fact that we can be somebody different for a day, dress up, be fun, do that thing. But like I said before, my family kind of always felt that spirits were super important because it was people that we had loved and lost. And so I always just kind of embraced that there was another side or other paranormal beings, because it kind of gives you a sense of like, once you're gone, are you really gone? Like, it's that what if, like, can we stick around and still see our loved ones kind of grow up and do all the things? So I don't know. It's super interesting to me because it's everything that's like, I always want answers for things. So if it's a what if, or if it's a feeling that I have, then I want to be part of that. Whatever that means, I want to try to figure it out. So I think it's super exciting, and I'm also very dramatic, so I'm also scared. So I mean, there's many times where I'm sure you're going to see me run out of a place. I'm sure it's going to happen.
It's interesting that you say that. I was going to say that, there's a lot of people worry about that, something will climb into you or whatever. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't or would. A lot of that is just sensationalized from movies and, spicing up documentaries. Now, I'm not saying that, something can't jump inside or whatever, use any of your equipment or use you as a person. I mean, because we are kind of a meat suit, and that energy that we all have makes us all different. I mean, I know that we're physically different, but like, if all of our hands were open like that and they were all cut off and laid on a table as people went through, we're not going to be easily identified. It's just a piece of your equipment, So I think what identifies each of us as who we are, the way you react, Ant, the way your spirit, if you will, intercepts the stuff you see on TV, or what fires you up, or what fires Jeff up, or myself, is really the being of our consciousness is who we are, I think. I don't really know. So I'm not one to say I know. I just try to put the pieces together as I see them.
Yeah.
I don't take any one thing solid, like they said, well, we saw this and that's it. Well, that may not be it. Maybe you perceived it that way because you don't know any better. And a lot of how we perceive is how we're brought up. So if we're told that monsters aren't real, we have a tendency not to believe in them. And if we're told that ghosts aren't real from a little age, because you're not wanting to believe that or whatever. But if you go into like, Native Americans and they talk about the spirits and all kind of stuff, those people go on with that faith, and they see that, and they have different ways of understanding that. And even ties in with animals. There's reasons that we can't take owls,
spirits, or animals
to Native Americans. Owls are not a good thing for them. It's not a good omen for them. And so animals tie into stuff, and there's all kinds of really crazy things. And like I said, I brought it up before. We talked about, chimpanzees and stuff. And if you really look, and there was this whole thing on them, and they have a place that they actually go. And the word to me is a little stretched, but they go to worship. Right. So there's this like rock mound thing that's in the middle of this jungle or foresty area where they are. And they bring trinkets to it, stones, flashy things. They put them down, and they slap on the ground. They kind of dance around. They look at it. So nobody really understands that. I don't get it.
When I will not bring religion into it because I really don't think that there has that much to do with it. I don't think it matters what your faith is, but
Correct.
For my family, or most funerals, when somebody passes, you tend to bring things that will represent those people in their life, the things that representative, whether it's a poster board with all their great memories of pictures or things that you might bury them with, and Egyptians did the same thing. A lot of
Yes.
different
Yep.
cultures did very much of the same thing. We put things in their coffin, whether it be their jewelry or things that they liked, or a picture of you too. When you go up and you sit, you give your last goodbye. We've put things in many loved ones' coffins that go with them, and maybe in hopes that it goes with them into the afterlife. And so I think, whether you believe it or not, subconsciously you kind of hope that that person's going to live on, whether it be through memory or spirit or in some type of way.
Sure.
And I feel like most cultures kind of believe that. And it keeps you, as somebody who's in this present life that's living, it kind of keeps you with that person, in the sense of, you're like, I think of that stuff that I put in people's coffins when they left. And I was like, they have that. Like, they have that of me that I gave them. It was something that was intimate
Familiar with that. I agree.
between us two. It was a picture of us, or it was a ring, or it was a necklace, or it was this, or it was that. And
Okay.
so you want that connection. You never want to fully say goodbye to somebody. And I think a lot of those spirits that we feel in that afterlife or that world, there's so many different types of souls and spirits and floating around, that you never know which one you're going to meet. And they're all misunderstood in their own way. And we have no idea where they came from, what they went through, but somebody does. Somebody has an idea of what they might have gone through, or how they ended up dead, or whatever. And there's a whole story to that person. There's a whole thing to that. And I think
Right.
that's what makes it interesting for me, because I'm like, I want to know that. Like, I want to know what is this? Who is this person? And why have they not crossed over? Why are they still here with us?
That's interesting, because I think that, I always say that I don't think that I see anybody with, paraphernalia or clothes or anything on. When we see them, we just understand that person at another level, I think. But when my grandmother passed away, I was laying in bed one night and I was on my cell phone. I was still in I wasn't in a state of despair, if that makes any sense. Like, long time coming. I already was separated from it. And I think I kind of understood that, that's just how the old ball bounces. And we know that we knew this day would come, and it's here. And I can either dwell in it or I can not. And I was looking on my phone. And then what's interesting about that night was, it was probably about, and I don't really sleep. I'm kind of a vampire like that. And there was this apparition beside the backside of my phone. Right. And I was like taken by it for a minute. Almost as like, so the best way I can describe it is, like sometimes when you're a kid, you're all sitting around, you put a flashlight in your face and you're like blinking, and there's all different colors, and or your studio lights are bright. You kind of blink, you can see the rings. It was like that, except I saw this patterned shirt that I'm not used to seeing, that I didn't know about. So immediately I jumped off and I texted my mom, because I'm sure she was awake. I'm like, I think Grandma just came to me, and I didn't feel scared or anything. I think she just came to say, I'm good. That's it. No speaking, no touching me, nothing. It was just a quick apparition. And then I was describing that shirt. But the story is, I said, I think this was her. I saw her. There was like little blue flowers. It was like a white shirt. It had these really small little blue flowers. Well, the story that my mom said was, that's interesting, because when she passed away, they shipped her body to Kentucky, where the cemetery is that they had plots for. So fast, I didn't have time to get her any clothes. So my mom went to the store there, bought her clothes to take back to the to the mortician to dress her and prep her for the casket. And she said that was the shirt she bought. So
Crazy.
I can try to debunk it, but she never told me. She didn't go, hey, I went and bought this shirt for grandma. It's got flowers on it. She looks real pretty. She went through that funeral like that. Like she was letting her mom go. She just wanted to get it done. It was very small. It wasn't this big ordeal. And I wasn't there. I didn't get to go. I was stuck here. I was working. There's no way I could get up there.
Yeah, that's very interesting
to me. Yeah. So it was interesting to me how that went down.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And something else that Britt and I have talked about, and I think Troy we talked about it too, is animals and children are very perceptive to things that are not in this world, because they're not, their minds haven't been I don't want to say the word tainted. Tainted is but they haven't been filled with things that are, like you said, Troy, where people are like, well, that's not true. That's not real. So they haven't really been, I guess, brainwashed to believe a certain thing.
Right.
I have a story that I believe that children really do hold the key to seeing other sides. Okay. When my mother passed away, my cousin was pregnant with her current daughter. Okay. My mom had long passed, and my cousin had her child. And when the child was able to start talking, my cousin kind of listened in the playroom and heard her daughter talking to whoever she was talking to. And so my cousin said, Anna, who are you talking to? And she said, I'm talking to Auntie Mary, which would be my mom. Okay. And my mom loved kids, by the way. And she's actually buried all around children. Just happens to be in the cemetery the part of the cemetery where there's all children that have been lost, by the way. Okay. So my cousin said, Anna, Anna, you've never met Auntie Mary. She goes, oh, no. She goes, no, mommy, I have. So my cousin said, long story short, let me pull out because mind you, she's a little girl. So it's not like she's been through all of our photo albums. She hasn't, she's not old enough to place names with people from the past. Okay. So they're just sitting casually looking through photo albums one day, and my little cousin's daughter, Anna, stops and she goes, Auntie Mary. And she points to my mom. And she goes, is that who you're talking to? And she says, yeah, mommy. So call it what you want. Okay. She called me and she says, Anthony, it's not a cousin that calls me often. My whole family is pretty close, but it's somebody that I don't talk to often. So she's, of course, got the chills all over her body. And she's like, oh my God, I got to call Anthony. She gave me a call. And I said, what's up, Gina? And she's like, I got to tell you the story. She told me the story. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, it has to be. My mom was always embraced kids and loved all the new kids and stuff. So it's like, when you think of that, you say, what's the explanation for it? Could there be an explanation for it? Sure. Hearing it, is there an explanation? No. You just have to assume that children are able to connect and see things that we're not as adults. And are you going to embrace that? Does it scare you? These are the emotions that get me excited because I want to know. I personally would like to know. And so if I can do all this and try to dabble into it and investigate, I don't know, maybe it brings me closer to my mom. Maybe
it will bring your mom close to you and you'll be able to get excited.
Correct.
And that would be amazing for you, Aunt. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And like I said, I agree with you 100%. And Jeff, you've been kind of quiet. Obviously, thank you for that because I know
I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in.
But there are a lot of different experiences that people have, and they're only yours.
Oh, when I was a kid, I had lots of strange things, and then my middle daughter never met my dad. My dad died when my ex-wife was pregnant with her, and she would pick him out of pictures all the time. So be like, "Oh, that's Papa Dickie." And I was like, yeah, how do you know that? Did somebody show you a picture or, there was pictures of them around, but it was so matter of fact, the way they say it, that like she knew, and she would talk about like how great he was and things like that. And she never met the man, which is crazy.
I believe it. I believe that.
What's interesting about that, real quick, is that Brittany's popping in backstage. Jeff, what you said is really cool. You know how a lot of people say that an entity or a loved one, let's just use that word, will attach to an object.
Yep.
In most cases, which we all know this, in most cases, it's a fact that your grandparents always love your children's children. Always. Their children's children. Always. And so sometimes I think they can, because of the mindset of a child, I think they can come across and communicate. And I think we've all had experiences when we're younger than when we get older, because we're all like for lack of a better term, a computer. So however we're programmed to perceive. So if Aunt runs out, Daddy, I saw Mommy. She came to give me a hug. He's like, that's not real. That's your brain making things up. If he was to act like that, then that's Aunt's perception as he got older. No, he looks up to his father, right? That's my daddy. I'm going to listen to him. And so I think we corrupt when we destroy like that. That's just my theory. I may be wrong. We could just turn into dirt and never come back again, but I just don't really feel that way. Brittany, how is it out there?
It's I know it's hard to see us because we're in the dark at the moment.
Okay, who is us? Are you sitting there with spirits, or do you have live flesh and bone people?
No.
Is that a spirit phone?
No, they're live flesh and bones. I'm
Okay.
here as the curator and a volunteer here at the Brooksville Maystringer home. I'll let them introduce themselves. This is, I don't know if you flip it this way.
Oh, here.
Flip it around.
Flip it around.
Like
Okay.
this. There we go.
Oh, we see you guys. All right. How y'all doing?
Good. How are
Hey
you?
guys.
Very good. Very
So
good.
Autumn here is the curator, and she's had already a very exciting experience tonight, to say the least. It's been, the house is worse active than it was when we were here.
Yeah.
It's been nonstop. We've had full vocal communication, telling us how many people are in the room, like
Wow.
full blown, and our devices are actually answering us right when I got the text. And I was like, I got to come on. But we were in the hallway, and Alicia was like, I got to ask a question. Tell them how you did it.
I think what I said was, I was like,
And I have the video. It's filmed.
Yeah, we have the video. So the REM pod was going crazy. It was just chirping like crazy, kind of like beep, beep. And I was like, okay, how crazy would it be if I counted down from 3 and like they walked away from it? So I was like, all right, I'm going to count down from 3. Once I say 3, just step away from it. And I go 3, 2, 1 or
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, something like that. And on the very final number, it was still chirping, and then not even 2 seconds after, it just dead
Stop.
silent. And it was going crazy probably for about like 5 to 7 minutes,
Yeah.
all while we
If
were
not
in that
longer.
room over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which room was that? Which room was that?
The hallway upstairs.
Second floor.
And
I
we've
got
we've
I
had,
got tickled in that hallway.
I just got touched.
Yeah,
I
got,
actually
I got
threw
this.
my phone because I was filming her and I was like heavily distracted, and something touched me from the back all the way across to my chin. I was like, no, I'm distracted. Don't do that right now. I like threw the phone. I was like, shit. All right, getting back in it. But there's also something dark here tonight that's not being very nice. It's been growling. It's mimicking different things in the room, telling us to get out, like loud, like
Well,
get
that's not, I
out.
like that. That's the stuff I like. I don't care about taking.
I would have ran out the house.
If you had heard what Autumn heard in the hallway, it was this old, like, it sounded like an older, decrepit woman. And it was like, get out. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, as clear as day came right there. And she's like, okay, that's good. I'm good. We can leave.
You ain't got to tell me
Yeah,
twice.
I'm good. So we just followed
Crazy.
the energy, and we're just keep going up. I think the last stop will be the attic, and then we're out. We're
So-
following them.
So, Britt, I have a question for you. So, people that don't know much about the paranormal world, why is it that certain times or certain days the activity in a certain location can be higher, it can be less? Why is that? Is it maybe the energy that some certain people might bring? Is it the time of day? What could that change?
If a place is haunted, it's haunted no matter what time of day. Like
Okay.
the spirit realm doesn't see the time of day. They're not like, oh, it's 3 p.m. Okay, guys, I'm going to clock in. Time to go stomp some
Our
stairs.
afternoon haunt.
But there are people that don't realize that their body is a high energy kind of a beacon. And so when they are in a location, especially if they work there, they can put off their own type of magnetic pulsing through the frequencies that will heighten the energy. And two, certain days, it depends on what traumatic event happened in those certain days. And if you go back to those timelines, sometimes you can find a connection to those days to what you're experiencing or what you're feeling.
Now,
So
would that make him an antenna?
yes, ant would be an antenna. That's exactly right. That's exactly
You
right.
know, I want to say two things because I get a lot of stuff, especially when I'm, dealing with people privately or messages when they ask me. And it's very hard because you always have to, what's up, Paul Wellman's in the house. Hello, Paul. How you doing, buddy?
Hey,
And
Paul.
what I'd like to say about that is there's two things. Let me start first before when you are a host or a hostess of the haunted places that you go to, a lot of people tell me, well, they're there all the time, and then they start psyching themselves up and they see things that aren't there. That's my explanation. Well, I counteract that because if you are, let's just say you're a beginner and you're going to the gym, right? And you get on a machine or you're lifting weights, your body hurts. It's telling you, get away from that. Get away from that, right? But I find that the more you go in there and push through it and allow it to happen, and what I mean push through is your brain, allowing yourself to be open and understand what you're seeing instead of trying to turn it off, instead of trying to make a logical explanation for something. That's not always the case. And so as you spend a lot of time in these places, and your body tends to be a little bit more open. Like I said, it has nothing to do with what you believe in or how you do it. It's your perception. It's your energy pull, right? Brittany, you look scared.
No,
and I think
the temperature is dropping in here. It's starting to get really,
well,
really
we're gonna touch on some things. So once you allow yourself to understand,
only
like,
have a
okay,
minute.
I'm gonna take it for what it is, right? And that's what when you begin to do that, your third eye opens. It opens completely a lot better. Number two, I want to answer something Ann asked because I want this. Now, I'm not going to take it any further than this, but I'm going to say you'll have if you're a flat earther, you're not going to like what I'm saying. But during different times of the day, if the Earth is in rotation, okay, the magnetic poles change a lot. We all know energy bounces off that, right? So we use things where we're looking for magnetic energy and this and that. So certain times of the day in rotation, right? Your house will be in a different area according to its line on its scale. So when your energy's at its highest, that may be when you're having these things they call portals or ins and outs. So if you think about that full rotation, just a logical thought. If I was a spirit and I could figure out a way to get that frequency, I'd grab Ant, jump through, fuck around with everybody, and then jump back in and then come and go as I want. And we don't know how that works. And someone at the Maystringer house said that there is more spirits there than existed in that house before, and they come and they go, right? So I recommend that you do a lot of geological look at where that house sits as far as the magnetics, the aquifer, the energy from water is extremely, extremely big deal, right? So if you're over top an aquifer, that's another thing where you have a lot of energy from. And so that's the other theory I have on that when people talk about why is it different times or why is it always at night? The reason it's more at night is we're more aware in the dark than we are during the day. We are a diurnal animal. We are not a nocturnal animal. When you're a nocturnal animal, you're out hunting at night, you're ready to go, and you're focused on your hunting. When you're a nocturnal animal during the day, you have to find a place to sleep, and you have to be on your key. We are not. So when we're that, our senses are up because we're back to fight or flight. Could we be eaten? Could we be killed? Something's going to get us. We can't see. We can't perceive. And that's really what it comes down to a lot of times with that. And I think that's why nighttime for most people is a little bit more because we're a little more open and our senses are heightened, which is why we sit in dark rooms with sensory deprivation. That's just what I wanted to say. Brittany, you got something? Or Ant or anybody?
I only have a minute because I do have to.
I just want to ask.
Building.
Hey, Britt, I just want to ask you gals. So, is what you and I talked about this week? What was there when I was there? Is he there this time?
No, this is different.
Okay.
I have a question. Have you guys ever done anything like this before since you work at the house?
Yeah, I'm here all the time doing artifacts and stuff, and I usually don't investigate, but sometimes
By yourself?
I hear that going crazy right now.
I like to think I'm that brave.
Yeah, so
I know Troy would. Troy would thrive on it.
We will we'll tap out for now, but I'm gonna keep filming so that I have it for us to review. Because obviously I want us to come back. If we have to. We need to be
I definitely want to come around one of these times.
Called it out.
I just got to drive down there and get Ant. He's a busy guy though.
Every time. All night tonight. Anytime we call it out, it'll just go away.
Yeah.
All night long. It's a trickster tonight. It's just being a pain.
Or is it a kid?
No, this one's not a kid.
This one sounds a lot scarier than a kid.
Yeah, this
If
one's
I
not.
was a kid, I'd be
And
doing
we did
that.
ask downstairs in the parlor room. We were asking questions, and we did ask, is there a portal here? Is that why there's so many people? And 3 different voices came through, and all said yes.
Oh my goodness.
3 different voices.
There is a cistern under the floor. Like straight, if you walk straight down the hallway.
Oh, there you go.
And straight down.
No,
there's-
there you go. That'll do it.
That'll do
Have
it.
you guys? Do you guys know like the history of what was on the land before the house was?
Yes. Well, it was originally a 140-acre parcel. Most likely
Uh-huh.
log was here, and then they built the 4-room structure in the 1850s. So it was or like groves, mostly orange groves after that, like citrus. But there are people buried on the property, and we don't know where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Probably right
gosh,
under
she
the house,
looks-
apparently.
She looks terrified right now. The girl all the way to my right.
Oh no.
Or it seems like you're hearing something.
Oh, I'm in my own world because I really want to investigate what that was, and so I'm just
Okay.
thinking,
I knew. I
What
saw
her
it in your
next step is.
face.
What her next step of play is. The Autumn's the one that's like, I'm good. I
Yeah,
think
she's
we've done
the-
enough.
She's
I
the
think
spooked
we're
out
good
one.
tonight.
I'm good. I'm just excited to keep going. So I do this.
Well, you guys go and hit that up and take lots of video for us.
Yep.
I am getting it all.
I'll be there soon.
Have fun, y'all.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Bye,
to meet you
guys.
guys. All right, Brittany, get at
Nice
us.
to meet you guys.
I will.
All right, we'll see you.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that was interesting.
that's
I wish we were
very
there.
interesting. Very interesting.
I kind of wish we were there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more activity this time around, but that's why I asked that question, because a lot of people that don't know about this, like I'm new to this as well.
Sure.
I mean, I definitely, have the open mind to it, but I'm new and I want to know, is there different energies at different times, different, so I think that was awesome and cool, and I'm excited to go back there. So I don't know. I think that it's interesting that so while Britt was talking, there was a couple of noises back here on my side. I don't know if you saw me kind of looking.
Yeah, you do that once in a while. You're pretty in tune.
Yeah, for sure.
You're pretty in tune. I did see that. And I think, like I said, I want to explain that because, as you know, we get a lot of stuff. I get a lot of messages, man, especially in there. And I kind of let Brittany handle that paranormal, but I get stuff in the Motley Croc and they're like, hey, man, do you ever think that? And they're like, I'm just asking because, and some of those questions are legitimate. And, I don't know. I don't know some of them. I can't answer that. Nobody has the answers. Nobody has the answers. But it seems like over a period of time, we kind of got away from all that stuff. When I think about like werewolves, abominable snowmen, vampires, ghosts, they came from somewhere,
Mhm.
right? Like, but thousands of years ago, there's literature of this stuff.
Right.
So
In
it's
all
like,
different
well,
cultures, too.
Right,
It spans across cultures and across the world. The same type of, how many cultures have a thing like the chupacabra, or how many cultures have a vampire
Right.
legends or ghost legends?
Skinwalkers are a huge one
Yep.
for the
Oh yeah,
American Indian
Skinwalker
community.
Ranch documentaries are unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that stuff is amazing. What
Talk
they
about a
do
hot
out there.
spot.
And when you think about that, like Jeff, you brought it up all over the place. Like
Yeah.
I know that when we were looking at hieroglyphics, there's helicopters in those hieroglyphics. I don't. People try to explain that away. They're like, oh, that's a manipula tool they used to cut grass. Well, was it, or is that just what you're saying? Because we've been lied to for so long through history and what they want us to listen to. They take away the reality of everything. Stuff I won't even get into on the show, but Ant and I were having a conversation about earlier. It's just amazing what you're taught versus what now we're seeing, right? And you got to think about AI for a minute. That's dangerous stuff. AI. That's dangerous.
I've seen Terminator. I know how it works.
Well, right, but it's the ability of it to outthink a human is insane, right?
Yeah.
But now the access to AI wasn't ringed in. It was almost like they've been messing with it, but there are people that have access to things, so you're able to hear and see stuff, and it's able to decipher, right? So it's going to have a better understanding of you because it has the understanding that we don't. When we're like, oh, it doesn't understand fear, etc. So things now that have been truth, right, that you put in front of it, those computers all line up and they say things. And so things now are starting to get explained a little differently. And I remember pre-COVID, a lot of countries were destroying history. Do you remember that? They were like tearing down their monuments, destroying their documents, burning it. I mean, there was a lot of that going on. Like they were going to rewrite what history was about.
So,
And that's
so
interesting.
think about how many times that could have happened in the history of
Mankind.
the beginning.
Right.
How many times could there have been situations where they wanted to destroy what was true? They wanted to destroy their current history or their past history. So it's almost like the telephone game, right? So Jeff tells you something, and then you tell me something, and then I tell Britt, and I tell one of those other girls, and then that other girl tells that person. So it's diluted. So we're doing that in our time period where cities are taking down history, cities are taking down monuments. That we're not getting into politics on that. I'm just saying
Well,
how
that's what they're
many
doing. Right. It's
times
not
over
political. They're
human
destroying it.
history
Dark.
in
Right.
every right could that or has that happened? We don't know. We'll never know. We will never know.
It reminds me of the ending of Planet of the Apes when Heston's on the beach and he sees the Statue of Liberty and he realizes that he's actually, on the human Earth in the future, and they had destroyed, every remnant of intelligent man or superior man to the apes. You know what I mean? And it's scary how history gets destroyed and how documents get destroyed. I mean, now it's all in the cloud, so at least it's there, for the taking.
Yeah,
But,
and that's what I was saying.
Well,
yeah.
and think about you look at Pompeii, okay, right? The one of the biggest historic events of our planet. So the eruption of Mount Vesuvius and how it completely devastated Pompeii and Naples, right? In that time period. Well, in that time period, what happened to those documents up to that point and that history
So they were
up to that
burned or
point
buried.
there in Pompeii? How do we know that there were things buried and never found, destroyed and never seen? So we can only go based off of what we've discovered and what was told after that. But we have no true knowledge of even when Rome fell. We have no true knowledge of what was destroyed during that time. There could have been more. There could have been help from other civilizations that we will never know. But because it was destroyed.
Extraterrestrial civilization.
So,
I mean,
I agree.
Listen,
sure
I didn't want to get into the
pyramids.
alien thing, but I'm a little alien person.
Well, yeah,
I
and
mean,
anything that comes here that's not
of them
spaceships and stuff
I
like
think they're just
astronauts.
destroyed.
No, I'm here. I'm listening to you. What I'm saying is,
Okay. Well,
I agree with you, Ant.
Yeah,
I know there's a lag. There's a lag. I'm sorry, Ant. There's a lag.
Can you hear us, Ant?
And now I can't. Not
Nothing?
for that
Nothing?
minute.
No sound?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay.
Now I hear you.
Okay, yeah, it goes right. Wasn't that strange? Anytime, and that's all energy-based stuff. I don't know why that happens. Every time we're on topics of ghosts or aliens, you can look past any show. Jeff knows. We've been there. We're like talking. Jeff will say something like, well, did you see about, and all of a sudden one of us will get booted or it like changes the algorithm or all the viewership drops. It'll just drop. Like cuts everybody. It's weird. Back to what you were saying, Ant, like alien things, like anything that comes to this planet is an alien. It could be other humans for all we know. Or, they try to keep us simple-minded and look at this and keep the peace. And in a lot of sense, that's okay. It's nice to be able to go out and give your dog a hug and maybe have a cup of coffee and do whatever and then go to bed, right? It's a nice feeling. You're good. You feel safe. Because I think if we really knew everything that was out there, it would be terrifying.
Yep.
Like,
And that's the government's excuse too, though, that they're saving us from ourselves. That's their battle cry. We can't know this information because we'll be too afraid,
Well,
or we can't drink 64-ounce sodas because we're going to get diabetes, or they put iodine in our salt so we don't get goiters. Shit like stuff like that.
And then there's a lot of experiments. To me, I always think it's just big money people. What's up, Seth? Big money people doing big money things, right? So, like, hey, if we had a major company and we knew the skill that we were doing, our people, right? We're going to be like, listen, our employees are not ready for that yet. They barely got a grip on this. And I think they look at it that way. Or keeping us out of it benefits them. It benefits them to keep
until
us
they're found out.
Keep the chain going. Correct. 100%. And there's always going to be.
Which is why.
Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, which is why I.
Isn't that weird, Jeff?
Yeah, strange. Can you hear us, Ant? Nothing.
Or it's a lag.
He's been possessed.
Can you hear? Can you hear us?
No, I can't hear you guys.
That is the weirdest thing.
Very weird. I can hear you. I can hear you in real time, Troy.
I hear you too, Jeff. It's like something's going after. Ant will go to talk, and then he gets cut off.
It's robotic. It's robotic. All right.
Crazy stuff. I need the X-Files theme to play in the background now.
Can you hear? I mean,
he's trying to figure out what I'm saying. I think
Judy hears all three of us. It's Ant. It's whatever's energy around.
I just can't hear what you guys. No, I just can't hear what you guys are saying. Like, you guys are very robotic and freezing, so I can't really have a conversation because I can't.
Maybe there's a whole lag.
Hear what you're saying.
That's so weird.
Yeah, because we can hear you perfectly in real time, Ant. Hopefully it'll be better when he comes back in. That is weird. How it happens to like one person, along a network.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Wow, you just sent 3 messages. Can you hear us now?
Is that better, Ant?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yeah.
We can hear you the whole time.
Yes.
Hey, you guys were like robotic. It was strange.
It's weird. You start talking about alien things, and then you like look to the side, and everything went weird. You're like, and then you froze. I'm like, yeah, this is the craziest thing. You'll have to watch the show back.
I thought you were frozen because your face was just.
You were like,
yeah, I don't know. So here's what I was gonna say from what I kind of heard. Okay. Is you said people like to just drink their coffee and have a hug and put their slippers on and do all that shit, right? Because they don't want to think about what if this other shit is going on, right?
Right.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And that's how that ties into the paranormal world, because it's easier for you to play things off to not worry or scare yourself and your family when you're like, that was just the house settling. Anyways, going back to my normal thing. Or you hear a voice or hear laughter or something, and you're a person that you don't want to believe that that's something true. So you're like, anyways, I'm going to go make myself coffee. That was just, I don't know, the TV from the neighbor next door. And you laugh it off, and it's just a normal thing. Then there's people who are like, no, there's something more to that. That's us. We've opened our minds to the possibility of extraterrestrials, the possibility of a spirit world, the possibility that other civilizations had a history, all the things that we're talking about, because some of us think it's fun to think of. Some of us believe that it's actually pretty fucking cool. And some people are just so scared they can't wrap their minds around it. So it's easier to be in that comfort zone where it's like, I'm just going to go to work. I'm going to pay my bills. I'm going to put my slippers on. I'm going to drive my kids to soccer. I'm just going to drink a cup of coffee. I'm going to do all the things, go to bed. Cozy, bless, pray, cozy. Great. Do all those things. That's you. But some other people want more. They want to know what if, and they want the more things. Yep. I don't think our civilization can honestly, this generation, in this world, I don't think anybody can handle extraterrestrials if they exist. They went crazy over toilet paper. So I really don't think that these people are smart enough nowadays to really wrap their minds around.
Let me give you an analogy on that. I agree with you, and I'm gonna tell you why I think that is. Jeff, you may agree or disagree. We, for too many years, have taught that that's not real, or it's science fiction, or it's whatever, because it's scary. And when you see movies like 1979's Alien,
Classic.
that's a very real possibility. All right. Doesn't necessarily have to be the super intelligent thing. It just may be a survivaling thing. Like,
just a pissed
look
off
at
mama.
crocodiles. You take 10 adult crocodiles and 10 adult naked men with a stick and throw them in the river, the crocodiles are going to live, period. So the fact that these aliens could be real scare people. So if that was the case, they're going to keep that from us. They're going to keep it. And I just think but if over time, if in the 1950s, when Nixon supposedly talked with aliens and did a treaty, started releasing that to the general public and introduced people to this other race of beings or species of beings, whatever. I didn't want to say race and upset anybody, because I mean species, another race of whatever. I think that we would be easier to take it. If you're a little kid and, there's this tall being that, is very giving or whatever, now we're trading off planet and stuff, and you're brought up like that, it's not going to be a shock. But when you keep everything isolated like that, now it can be used as a fear tactic.
There needs to be
apply some crazy thing and scare everybody.
There needs to be some kind of, if people don't want to listen, they shouldn't have to listen. Like, you could take like a government truth network and put it behind a paywall for people who want the truth can get the truth. I'd like to be president for a day so I can get a look at the Book of Secrets. That's all I really want, is to know all
Nixon
this
had
stuff
something to do with it.
The Book of Secrets, not you know what I mean?
Right. Nixon had something to do with it. And what was interesting, I don't know if anybody follows the series American Horror Stories.
Yeah, most of it.
I was
the very last one was when we were going through COVID. Remember, Ant? And they were like drinking baby's blood and stuff and all that kind of stuff. And then, but they weren't killing the kids. They were just drinking.
There was 3 different series within.
Yeah. Do you remember the end?
Season.
Do you remember the end of that season?
Yes.
Nixon was pissed off. He wanted to talk to the people. She came in the room. Remember her eyes, and she was just blowing heads off of people. Remember that with a thought.
Well, and I believe John F. Kennedy. I really do believe. By the way, I am not suicidal, so I would never kill myself. Just so everybody knows that.
None of us are.
I believe that John F. Kennedy. I believe that John F. Kennedy really did know something, and he really had such a good soul, I think, and he really did want to expose it because he couldn't live with what he knew. And I mean, they just uncovered 50 years worth of documents showing that the government had something to do with John F. Kennedy's death. I'm just
we already knew it. We just
he may have known. He may have been the person that was going to expose it, and they're like, he's got to be gone. Like, we got to get.
And then they went off Marilyn Monroe, because he talked to Marilyn Monroe. There's no doubt in my mind that he was.
Oh, he slept with Marilyn Monroe.
And I know, because, like, again, we're going to go back to what Ann said. It doesn't matter.
She was going to out him too.
Yeah,
yep.
It doesn't matter, right? And then they made that such a big thing. She was found naked. She was beaten. She was full of alcohol. Think about those things, man. Like, and back then, everybody was still, they had their toaster from the bank. Very rarely did somebody get a new car. When they did, it was a station wagon with wood siding, and they were like, America. They thought they were being so misled, but there was no technology. The technology that we have gotten a hold of in the general public has caused a lot for them to push back, I think. Because I'm not going to sit here and say to anyone that aliens aren't real, or God's not real, or this isn't real. I'm not going to say it because I don't know. And some of the evidence out there shows a lot of different things, right? We're basically one of the closest things for me, folks, and I've always loved this. You may have to, Jeff, because you remember it. The original movie Blade Runner.
Oh, absolutely. Love Blade Runner.
My God, how close to what we're living today is that? And we were already surpassed it, because didn't it take place in 2015?
Yeah, I think
in the
so.
year 2015.
I know. I love that
Remember?
stuff that takes place in like in the future.
Yeah, we're like
uh,
years past that now.
the year
and we're still touching on it.
1999.
Right. And so the second one comes out, and now those androids were able to to procreate and make new babies. They were getting pregnant. Do you remember that, Jeff, in the second one? When Harrison Ford's like, I hunted this skin down.
Like the newer one, the modern one.
Yeah, did you see it?
I did not.
You have to watch it. I'm not going to say any more for those who haven't. All I'm saying is it took off. Harrison Ford's in that one. And it is so, if you think about yourself as a robot, we have to sleep to be recharged, right? We have to consume for energy, and we have waste, period. And so it's the same as any type of dumping the waste out of a hard drive in a computer. You definitely have to charge it. You definitely have to feed it information to keep it alive. You definitely have to keep doing that. And when you think about us as a whole, we're nothing but a jellyfish in a meat suit.
Yeah, I mean,
I was looking at that in the 50s.
too. So, can't hear us again?
Can you hear?
It's so weird. You guys sound like you're literally from another planet.
There's something I have
no
to
one's
tell you,
supposed
Ant.
to.
We are from another planet.
I knew it.
Change that as a science. It's true though, and I think that if somebody comes out against the main grain, you're done. They want everybody to be the same. They've done that forever.
Yeah. And here's the type of people that I like. Okay. I like all people in general for the most part, as long as you're a sane, normal human. But like the people that I like and the type of person that I am is if I hear something, whether it be extraterrestrial, spiritual world, conspiracy, government file, anything, my mind is like flat earth, right? We've had a conversation about that before. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm not saying I don't believe it. What I'm saying is all of these things collectively, if you have a truly free thinking, open mind, you don't follow that grain, you don't follow people, then you will be like, sure, that's possible. I want to know more. Tell me more. Like, either sell me on it or I want to learn more about it. They don't want you to do that, which also triggers me to be like, why don't you want me to do that?
Well,
I want to know though.
If you take everything, for example, everybody's got their own form of what they think is real and isn't real, right? Everybody does. We all do. But you can get a group of people to go somewhere and really see some evidence, and then you start to open up to it because you begin to see something different than you were taught. So to me, education is really important in anything. Education on life, education on religion, education on animals, education on aliens, education on supernatural, paranormal. Paranormal is like a real thing. Wasn't it Thomas Edison? I'm sure Ant will pop back in, but wasn't it Thomas Edison that started the EVP, if I'm not mistaken? Electric voice phenomenon. I'm pretty sure he created that machine.
No, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure on that for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that I hate to be cliche, but the truth is out there, and I think it's clouded by a lot of ridiculous conspiracy theory and stories that actually clouds I mean, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of conspiracies in the world,
100%.
I mean,
and there will be. There always will be.
And absolutely. And we've been lied to. We've been, led down a path. Just because I don't believe in a lot of wild conspiracy theories does not mean that I believe that the world is not full of conspiracy.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat with you on that. 100%. I agree, Jeff.
I mean, we talked, briefly touched on that article about the Boeing whistleblower. The day after he testified, found a self-inflicted gunshot wound in a hotel parking lot. And this last week. So, I mean, it's too convenient, right? But I think that
or he knew he was going to be killed, right? For what he did. And there was no way out, and he took his own life because he wanted to be in charge of it 100%. But either way, that was his hand was forced.
Oh yeah, and all his people said that he was so glad to be done with all of it, and it was a huge relief, and he was just ready to move on with his life, and those companies are run by powerful people. Thank you, Tracy. Exactly, Kim. He got Epstein. He's,
Self-inflicted.
yeah, absolutely. And and it's just it's the easiest way to just say, well, he killed himself. Let's call it, and that's that.
Right, and that really leads right back to what I was saying earlier. Everything is taught. So when you're like we were talking earlier, when you go into paranormal, right, or aliens for any of that matter, paranormal is something we don't understand. It's hard for us to believe stuff because people are so closed out to it. And believe it or not, to me, in my world, in the world I live in, the paranormal is real. Things happen that I'm even looking for, Jeff. I'm like, I'll catch something. I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to try to explain that away. There's no draft and the door just slams out of nowhere on your back.
Yeah.
Or you get that sometimes I'll get one of those midnight snacks. I want to go downstairs and get a snack and then come back up my stairwell, and I feel like I'm being chased. I'm an old man. I should be feeling
I know
like
that feeling. You're like
somebody's
somebody's behind you, somebody's watching you, somebody's walking behind you. I feel that all the time.
And I'm into that. Like, I love that feeling. And sometimes like, oh, don't do that tonight. Or sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I got to run. Or I will sense that it's not that good of a thing. And I will distract myself with bright lights.
Sure.
Or I'll be like, okay, this thing isn't that great. And it's bothering me, I guess, coming and going. And I don't think it's anything that's ever followed me home or came with me or anything like that. But that's my theory on the paranormal. And I think that with that being said, we have to have an open mind to everything that you want to follow. Like, so if you want to follow paranormal and you really want to investigate, open your mind to it. Not to the point to where some people believe they'll be possessed or whatever, not to that level, but understand, look at the literature, then look at the documentation and I know that there's a lot of paranormal out there. That's a lot of people do it just for foof and fun, or they do it to get, to get views or whatever. But I'm really thoroughly interested in really seeing it. That's, what we're doing and what we're doing is we're not getting paid. It's not a big job to go out there. We're doing a TV show on it. We're not doing it that. We're really looking at it because I really want to know for me. Jeff, you and I may have a good 40 years left on this planet, right?
You're not boring me, by the way.
No, I'm saying you and I probably got a good 40 years left, and I just want to learn as much as I can.
40 years would be a stretch, but hey, I'm in.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's do it, man.
I'm saying, well, medicine's changing too, so you never know. I mean,
oh, absolutely. I see it every day.
Longevity. I'm on the paranormal spectrum. I'm going to look more into it, but I was watching. I have the Gaia TV app, and I watch a lot of stuff on Gaia TV. I really like it. I think it's that more. Yeah, we are, Paul. More of that old the old medicines and the old literature. I really like the channel. Anyways, so they were talking about there's this man, this scientist in this lab, what they're doing, obviously not in the United States, but they're saying that children born today, like today, tomorrow, and next week, next year, etc., will almost live forever. Right? So they're figuring out a way to keep the cells regenerating inside your vessel for longer than it is now. That's going to come. That's just going to come. Do I think it will be for the elite? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think it'll be for everyone. It'll be for the elite. But if you can keep your souls going that long and your cells inside your body, dude, and your vessel to last longer, like a car, a well-built car, will be living longer. So medicine, so we may see it, Jeff. So
yeah, absolutely. As long as all my parts are working, I'm good.
Right. And I want to know
systems aren't breaking down.
Yeah, everything's good. You're flowing right. And I want to know, I would love to see my grandparents. I'm sure you would love to have an experience and actually see your father or him be able to come across and you see him and he could say, hey, Jeff, I'm proud of what you've done. Wouldn't that be great to hear? That's my goal to see it. That's my goal.
Absolutely. And I know he visits me, in ways. If it's not like it's birds, it's blue jays, stuff like that all the time. When I'm thinking about them, there's always a blue jay close by, and like out of nowhere, always.
A soul, Kim, a soul will live forever. Your soul, in my opinion, moves forever. It's forever there. That energy will always be there.
I was going to say, it cannot be created nor destroyed.
Right. So, but they're talking about, and there's a lot of people that would want to live forever. I would love to live 1,000 years in a very workable body.
I was going to say in a workable body, sure.
Right. Like a vampire. That's why I've always been intrigued with vampires. I would have wanted to be bit in the neck when I was 30 years old and deal with it like that and just watch time go on and watch. You know what I mean? I would have loved to have seen that. Like
The only
my
problem is if there's a
great-grandparents.
total human annihilation, man. I guess you'd have other vampires to deal with.
So my great-grandfather would have been, I don't know, around 130 years old right now if he was alive. And in the scheme of things, that's not very long, right?
You say mine
So-
would be close to 200, I think.
You're great.
My great,
Okay.
yeah. My grandmother died at 104, 7 or 8 years ago.
So isn't that really cool? That's
Oh
really
yeah,
cool.
it's crazy. Just thinking about what they went through and being able to talk to them about the things that they saw in their lifetime. I mean, she lived through 2 world wars, plus Vietnam, Korea. She lived through, the stock market crash, the Great Depression. I mean, it's crazy the things that they lived through and persevered. We could never stomach that these days, I don't think.
The actual soul, Kim, is who you are. That is your energy,
Your essence, if you will.
But we not everybody here was able to talk to people that were born in the 1800s. Jeff and I got the opportunity. My parents,
absolutely.
And the things that they sat around and talk about. If you could see us now, and you could bring them here right now with the state of consciousness that they had in their end of their life, to see this would be absolutely mind-blowing what we're doing right now. Right?
People
there was no TV,
no telephones,
no cars, none of that stuff was around when they were young.
Yeah.
And they would tell us all about it. My grandfather's like, we rode on a horse and buggy to school if we ever got to make it half the time.
Yeah. My grandfather was an engineer, and he was on the cutting edge of everything back then. And, my mother was telling me they had like the first TV in their neighborhood because he worked for RCA.
Isn't that great?
Back in the day. Yeah. And it probably weighed 400 pounds, and the screen was probably like 6 inches wide.
Isn't that amazing, though? That's where it started.
Yeah.
So for them to see it now, and I believe they see it now. Like I said, I think that they're around us all the time. I think, like you said, your father visits. I think my grandparents visit, and my grandfather, he did not die that long ago, so he got to see flat screen TVs and some really cool technology before.
Right. I mean,
but
the world's definitely come a long way in the last 100 years, even. Since think from 1924 to now. I mean, think of the changes. That took place, and that even since I was born in 68, computers were the size of a building, in 1960.
Yeah, I remember that stuff when my dad was talking about when they go to
billions
work
of dollars, Yeah, we used to have black and white TVs in my house, Judy, and we only got like 2 channels unless you went to like UHF, and you could maybe pull something out of there.
And that's the thing, so being able to see all that, and both of my grandparents said that they'll be around. That my grandmother said, all you gotta do is, I know that I'll be able to hear you, so just talk to me.
I mean, and they'll say the same thing about us, when we're gone. The things that I saw in my life, the Berlin Wall coming down.
Yep.
A couple of wars, some of the longest war in American history.
Yep. We saw a lot of things, and they're going to see a lot of things. And when they're communicating with other planets, so when your grandchildren or great-grandchildren, Jeff, are experiencing other life from other planets and living on other planets in the solar system, how cool would that be to actually see firsthand?
Yeah, I got to see pictures from the Mars rover. That's about as far as I got to go in my lifetime so far.
Well, when my grandfather was a little kid, my great-grandfather, there was no airplanes that were flying people back and forth to different states. So when you had to go, you either had to drive or take a bus, and it took forever. So just now that you can get in an airplane for 6 hours and be all the way across the United States,
and you have to,
would be amazing.
I mean, they got rid of the Concorde because of all the dangers, but can you imagine like flying to England in 3 or 4 hours?
Yep.
When you used to have to take a boat for like 3 weeks to get across. Yep.
That's what I'm saying. So so there's a lot to it, and there's so much as we go. So to call us just a simple meat bag that just dies off, there's no energy and no growth would be, to me, it's just
for real, Paul.
It just doesn't.
I mean, how far away is travel at the speed of light? It's crazy,
I don't think it's far off.
When I was a kid, there were planes. There were warplanes that could go like Mach 3, like the Blackbird and stuff like that. Stealth technology.
Well, even during World War, I believe, even during World War I, when they were flying my grandfather to Germany, my great-grandfather.
Biplanes.
Yeah, they weren't flying very fast. They flew at like 55 miles an hour, dude. They had to go all the way to Germany and have 55 miles an hour in the air. Now we got planes up in what, the 700s? What are they flying? Almost 700
Oh
miles
well,
an hour?
let's see. Supersonic speed. How fast the Concorde was like a normal plane. I think flies between like 350 and 500 miles an hour.
Right, and then the super plane were like 7 to 1,000 miles an hour or something like that.
Let's see. Fastest plane.
Yeah, he said now the military has supersonic jets and weapons. Yeah.
Yeah, they had supersonic jets in the 60s. It's crazy. You know,
Yeah, so imagine the technology in them now, folks. So yeah.
The fastest plane goes Mach 6.72.
Oh my gosh.
Which is a NASA US Air Force X-15. You know, but there's I mean, that's crazy.
That's fast.
4,520 miles per hour.
That is unbelievable. You know what happens at that? Man. There's no sound. There's no way. There's no sound at that.
That's crazy. You could literally fly from here to California in 40 minutes.
It'll happen, Jeff.
Yep.
Or we're going to be like Star Trek. We're going to stand in a tube and go. We're going to monitor.
Yeah, beam me up.
Yeah.
You know how many places I'd be like, beam me the hell out of here, like now.
And my great grandfather went there by ship. She said, "Yes."
My grandfather was a showman. He was a vaudeville showman, and he used to travel everywhere by ship. When I went digging through like what's it called, Ancestry, I found like like old ship manifests with his name on it. You know, from like the Queen Mary and stuff, like going across the water. It's just crazy, man.
Stuff like that is wacky.
Yep.
Well, here we are at the end of the hour. I appreciate everybody being a little over because we started a little bit late due to our technical difficulties, and we did lose Ant, so I'm going to have to reach out to him when I get done. But I appreciate everybody coming in, supporting, and talking to us and hanging out. This will be uploaded on the Motley Croc YouTube channel, so you can kind of see from the beginning. Brittany is actually out at the May Stringer house for those of you that came in late or watching the show now or starting it. It's going to be, if you want to start it now or jumping in, she's out there looking for any type of interference or anything they can find. So it's kind of cool. Jeff, as always, it's always a pleasure to have you here with us, man. And thanks for always being here. And we have some good conversations. And tonight went well. So until next week, folks, we really appreciate it. We will see you guys next Thursday. And if we don't, we'll make sure we're here. If we're not, we'll be doing a pre-recorded show. We'll be around. So
heck yeah.
Everybody hang out. Thank you, Jamie. Everybody hang out and everybody reaching out to us. Thank you.
I go back to work tomorrow night, so I'm going to be lost for a week.
Yep. And keep up with us because we have some good things coming up. So everybody have a great night.